Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Zachary Dickinson here. I hope you all having a wonderful time during this wonderful winter storm that we're having, if you're watching in the U.S. at least. Everywhere else, hope you're having a wonderful and blessed weekend. Today, we'll be talking about Star Wars: The High Republic era, Phase 1 of books. Alright, so before we begin discussing the 6 books I read of the High Republic Phase 1 era, which isn't everything in and of itself. It's just ones that I chose to read or were like the main ones of the phase. If you're new to Star Wars and not sure of the timeline at all, what is the High Republic? The High Republic is the era of Star Wars that came before the main era of Star Wars that the entirety of the movies and shows is about, the Skywalker saga or the galactic, the tail end of the High Republic is at the Phantom Menace, and then after that it goes into the Galactic Republic, then the Imperial era, and then the New Republic, and post that. That's about 90-ish years. This is set around 300 or so years before the Phantom Menace, I want to say. Probably, I think it's more like 250, but this is set around 250 years before the Phantom Menace, and it follows adventures of the High Republic, the era of the Jedi where they were at their highest, their strongest, and it also starts to show the beginning of them being very dogmatic as they were in the Skywalker saga and in the Phantom Menace and throughout the Clone Wars as they were, and which led to their downfall. So this era is a new adventure with only 2 characters that were in any other era of Star Wars that we have ever seen in movies perspective. This isn't the Old Republic, which is thousands of years before this, and also this is still in the era where the Sith have been gone for a couple hundred years. So we're going through a thread that isn't a Sith, but it is something else. It is a like pirate kind of empire that has slowly been growing and is now moving forward and striking now. And so this is the Jedi at their peak with only about Yoda and Yaddle. And Yaddle only really appeared in the Phantom Menace and not really much outside of it. So really only Yoda is here and around in the High Republic Phase 1. However, Yoda isn't active or in the story that much. We're more focusing on other Jedi Knights, Jedi Masters, and Padawans in this set of books here. So, in the High Republic Phase 1, there are 6 books that I read. I would say this is the best set of Star Wars books outside of a trilogy that I've read so far. Not to say that every single one is good. There is one that I didn't like, and that was the first one, which is Light of the Jedi. Light of the Jedi starts off with they're in this big freighter in hyperspace and something goes awry, and whenever they just jump out of hyperspace, the whole entire freighter is just collapsing and falling apart, and it's like a whole entire meteor shower is falling onto this planet. And that's how it starts. And really, it was just that it was very slow. And like the whole crash and like the meteor shower part of it, I really didn't like this book at all. It was very slow, and the whole crash and all that was very slow paced, and it took a long while to get the actual moving pieces going, which I didn't like all that much, and I just didn't really find it all that moving in terms of what I've actually read in Star Wars up to that point. Which also I think this was, this was the first book that I read in like coming back to reading. So it was very much a low point in coming back to reading. And it also made me like very slow to read the rest because this was slow and this was hard to get through and hard to read through. So I didn't really like it, and so it made the rest of it like not really like um not really apprehensive or afraid to like read more, but it made me have a slower pace to it, kind of expecting that. So the rest of these five books, three of them are 5 stars, two of them are 4 stars, and overall I flew through them a lot better, and they were just much easier to read than Light of the Jedi. So with so this was when I started first loving Star Wars and getting very into it, because of these couple of books. And it's and the phase was split to where 3 adult and 3 young adult books, kind of like building some of the smaller characters and implementing them into the adult books a little bit by bit. So this next book is Into the Dark, and we follow a young Jedi Padawan who is about to meet his new master, and he loves the Jedi archives and wants and would love nothing more than to spend every waking moment in them. But in the High Republic Phase 1 right now, they're very much wanting to go out into the frontier, the Outer Rim, and explore and expand the Republic. So Reith, our Jedi Padawan Reith Silas, is on a mission to meet his new Jedi Master or Jedi Knight, Jorah Molly. However, and that would be where it would be like opposed um towards the dedication of Starlight Beacon, which is what the Chancellor and the Jedi are hoping to build and make to help expand into the Outer Rim easier as a like watchtower or like a big, it's kind of hard to explain, but like a big floating thing outside of a planet. And however, Reith and those with him on their way to Starlight Beacon's dedication, where he's supposed to be taking a post, they have trouble in hyperspace, and his ship and nearby ships suddenly leave hyperspace early and get into this weird, um, see this weird space station, and there's a hidden secret, which are like these like plants that are kind of alive but not really. Um, and so I really loved that. It was very fast paced, and it mostly centered on just this area, just the space station. They're all lost in this wonderful adventure to eventually get to Dromali, his new master. And so I really loved this book because it was fast paced, it was action, it was every chapter was like 5, maybe 10 pages at most. So it flew through. It was like 70 chapters, flew all the way through. Um and I loved the journey and I loved where this started everything. So now we have The Rising Storm, another 5 star book. I did like 2 5 stars, 2 4 stars, then it ended with a 5. And so The Rising Storm, they're they're wanting to expand. The Chancellor is in attendance. They're wanting to do a big Republic fair, a big spectacle to show how ready they are to expand with Jedi like Elzarman, Belzetifer, Stellan Geos, and many more. However, this is the time that the Nihil finally decide we're gonna strike, we're gonna kill, we're gonna show these Jedi who we are, what we're about, and we're going to make a statement off of how vulnerable they're making themselves to be. Because you have the Chancellor, you have multiple Jedi, mini Jedi, and millions in attendance at this Republic fair. And so they strike, they bring disaster. And they wanted to do this Republic fair because they wanted to bring a better feeling to the populace because of the recent hyperspace disasters and all this stuff that's been happening, and the Republic wants to expand. And so Marakian Ro, leader of the Nile, attacks. Him and the Nile attacks, and a storm descends on the Republic fair, and just chaos ensues. And there's all these little battles, skirmishes happening, and people are trying to get to safety. The Chancellor's in trouble. You have this Jedi. You have Elzar and his troubles that he's recently been going through. You have Stellan going through stuff. You just have a lot going on, but it's just well paced, and it's very well paced. And overall, you just keep on going and going and going, and it goes through this, through that, through this, through that, and it very much starts to set the stage for the rest of what the rest of the phase is about to be. And so now, finally, Meraki and Rowan the Nail come face to face with their enemies, the Jedi. And so that is the Rising Storm. So now, after the Rising Storm and Into the Dark, back-to-back 5 stars, near perfect books, we have Out of the Shadows, a 4-star book. Not as good, but it keeps on the strength, and it keeps on the momentum of the previous 2 books. And it follows another wonderful journey, and this is another one of the YA books, where we see Reese Silas is back. We also have a newly and young Jedi Knight, Vanessa Rowe, which if you watched The Acolyte, you would have seen her, and she's now alive for over like 100+ years. She's now a new Jedi Knight. You also follow the journey of Silvestri Yarrow, who lost her mom and trying to keep the family cargo business alive. But she has a mountain of debt piling up. The Nihil are steadily attacking and attacking and attacking since the Republic fair. They're just going and attacking and causing chaos and having things run amok. Silvestri is in danger of losing it all, and Vanessa Rowe, with her Padawan, Imri Kantaros, go back to Coruscant with, sorry, I was wrong about Reese Silas's Jedi Master, Comac Vitus. That's a hard one. They are asked to assist with a property dispute on the frontier. And so you have the Jedi and you have Silvestri all come together, and they come to a head in this story. And so what else is there? What's the big twist? Yeah, Silvestri's mother died, but the Nihil have a scientist on their side. And so why is this empty pet space so important? We will find out as Vanessa, Reith, Comac, Emery, and Silvestri all figure it out in this wonderful journey. As many mysteries continue to unfold about both Nihil and this wonderful High Republic era. So now we're into The Fallen Star, my second 4-star of this series. It's coming off of the building blocks of Into the Dark and Out of the Shadows building off of each other. It's coming off of the Rising Storm, the aftermath of the Republic Fair incident. How is the Chancellor doing? And they're finally going to attempt to get Starlight Beacon up and running. But the Nihil don't like that. They don't want the Jedi to expand into the Outer Rim. The Nihil want to control an area or want to expand and control part of the Outer Rim. And so the Nihil attack. The Nihil sends something out to Starlight Beacon. And, well, the book is called The Fallen Star. So it gives you an idea of what's about to happen. And this is the exact sequel to The Rising Storm, to a T. So, Starlight Beacon is just now here. It's here. And we have most of the same ones from The Rising Storm, like Elzar, Stellan, and all. And I think even of our Chris, maybe, too. Yeah. And so we have this journey of the Starlight Beacon is finally here. The Nihil don't like it. And so they want to ruin that for the Jedi and want to make a public spectacle. And so after every Nihil attack that's been slowly happening, slowly and steadily, the Republic and the Jedi are getting battered and battered and battered, and the Nihil are coming closer and closer and closer to finally punching a hole and getting through and actually putting up a winning effort. And so the fallen star kind of puts one of the more final nails in the coffin for the Nihil to get that step going. So now, after all these Nihil attacks have been happening through the events of the Republic Fair, through what has happened to Starlight being, it finally came up together, but it didn't go that as well as they would have hoped and liked. And so now we come to the final book of Phase 1. We have The Midnight Horizon, my third and final 5-star book, my fifth and final in a wonderful run of 4 and 5-star books all in a row. We have Midnight Horizon, which is kind of like an adult or YA. I'm not really quite sure which one it falls into, but again, we find and we are following both multiple Jedi Masters and Padawans. We're following Reeve Silas again. We're following Comac Virtus with him, his master, and also another Jedi Master, Katam Sky, and another Padawan, Ram Jormar Ram. Weird. These Star Wars names are so weird sometimes. And we also have someone whose friend is a fallen victim of the Nihil attacks, Crash. And this is all currently happening on Corellia. And so it seems as though the Republic might finally have the Nihil on the run, and that they might be having a little bit of cracks forming right now. It looks like there's finally light at the end of the tunnel, until there's word of a suspected possible attack. And that's why we're at Corellia, because the suspected attack is supposed to be at Corellia, right in the heart of the core of the galactic, of the High Republic, of the Republic, right in the middle of the core. So, Masters Comac and Katam Sai, it's Sai not Sky, with their Padawans, Reeve Silas and Ram, are heading over and sent to investigate, who are also all fighting their own inner battles. After months of relenting danger, this is the third book where we're having Reeve Silas going through another big journey. We're also having another time where he's with his master Comac. And Crash is a young security specialist with a fallen friend. And so that is the final book, and this was the thrilling end to of the 5 biggest stretch in Star Wars that I've ever read, and it started a craze in me to read more Star Wars. So after these 6 books, the first one wasn't that much of a hit, but it was banger. It was 5 bangers after bangers after bangers, all in a row, and I couldn't get enough of it. And so it's what started my craze to read more, and it's what started me on my journey to read more. And so it's why I focused so much on Star Wars, because I liked it and I got a hook on it and I wanted more. And so I sought after certain other Star Wars ones, certain known characters that I wanted to read more about. Like I heard of these Thrawn books that had just been released, and so that was my next project, the Thrawn Chiss Ascendancy trilogy. Just near perfect. So, with all that being said, I thank you for watching. If you've watched all the way through, or if you've even just skipped a few parts, I hope the weather is wonderful wherever you're at. And hope to see you next time. Leave a like, subscribe for future videos, and comment below something you love about Star Wars. See you in the next one.